Have a good time. Having a good time. Gotta mute that mic, Tom.
Yep, I'm getting there.
Say, we still
And
have that echo issue. All right. Welcome to another episode of the Super Movie Studies Podcast, a community of superhero movie fans, teachers, and students. People looking to discover more about superheroes and the world because both are spectacular. I'm your comic book cultured host, Michael Maurer, joined by the scientific scholar
Ben Anderson.
and our transient tenant.
Twitter time.
He picked out his own name for that one.
Where are we? Oh yeah, SMSP is your premier movie discussion podcast. Every week we continue our journey exploring our favorites. Every week we continue our journey exploring our favorite subject, superhero movies. Every fan sees the movies differently, so we gather some amateur experts to discuss certain aspects of the movie.
Whether it's money, comic books, music, or science, SMSP talks about it all in this week's episode. And yes, there will be spoilers.
Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four 2005 is the name of the
Did it
movie.
say dramatic pause in parentheses?
That's where we're supposed to put the title of the episode.
Yeah, like a lot of the stuff, like you just kind of know off the top of your head, so you don't like. We've been doing this enough, so when we throw a new person into the mix and they just read from the outline, they tend to make a little errors like that. But we're good. First opinions. Fantastic Four, 2005. Redeem yourself, Tom.
I saw this movie in theaters 11 years ago. It was all right, if I remember right. I mean, I remember the part where doesn't Reed grab like toilet paper with his powers.
That indeed does happen.
It's comic book movies before comic book movies really found their footing. It wasn't my favorite. Yeah, I was disappointed. I had high hopes for Fantastic Four, and just the movies don't reflect how good the comic books are for Fantastic Four.
Popcorn Ben.
I have never read a Fantastic Four comic, so I can't speak to how this stacks up to the books. But I thought this movie was acceptable, if a little schlocky. You know, it's fine. It's kind of campy, but so are the Fantastic Four. That's what it's supposed to be. I think this succeeded in a lot of ways that the Silver Surfer didn't, and I don't think it's even fair to compare it to the most recent. But it was fine. I enjoyed it. I had a good time.
Fantastic Four, man. You know, what's it take to make a good media project out of that group? What's it going to take? Because we've got this movie came out in 2005, you know, Fox owns it, so they're not doing really the best with their superhero projects at all, except they've been killing it with X-Men, typically, outside of a couple hiccups. But Fantastic Four, the first attempt with Tim Story's vision, is you see a lot of that. It tries really, really hard to capture the actual essence of the team. A little bit too much. It doesn't really recognize that it isn't a comic book and that it is indeed a movie. Sometimes that's why a lot of the script can get a little wonky, a little cheesy, a little schlocky, as was said before.
There's a lot of very comic booky dialogue.
Yeah.
And not in a good way.
Yeah, the relationships are not very real. But if you're a fan of the Fantastic Four, you go, okay, I see what they were trying to do. It doesn't translate very well, but it's still like they didn't kill the franchise. I mean, they made enough money to make a second movie, which killed the franchise again, until they decided to just bury it deeper into the ground later. Because again, like you can compare anything to that 2015 Fantastic Four movie, and you're probably going to end up with that movie that you compared it to being offended.
Except for the spirit.
for the Spirit, among other shit films we've had to talk about. But Fantastic Four it's really like a 5 out of 10. It's like a perfect 5 out of 10 of a movie. You know, there was effort put into it. You see, there's a lot of charm. Just some things weren't clicking, and it didn't look like they gave themselves enough time to deal with it. And it's really interesting to think about, like, what the vision, what the purpose of the movie was. Was it to create a really grounded version of Fantastic Four? Because it didn't achieve that. Was it a money grabber? Because it kind of achieved that. So, like, what was the ultimate goal of the project? Besides bottom line, got to make money. So, speaking of money, let's move on over to the money stats of Fantastic Four 2005, starting with a production budget of $100 million. Where did that get us?
Domestic gross was $154 million, with a foreign gross of $175 million, bringing it to a worldwide gross of $330. So it made its money and then some, and it was enough to warrant a shitty sequel.
a supplementary sequel. I guess it was a little shitty, wasn't it? It didn't make it a whole lot worse. It kind of felt like more of the same.
I feel like this is a whole lot better than Silver Surfer.
Really? Okay.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah,
I agree.
This movie had like some heart, and Jessica Alba wasn't 100% awful.
Oh yeah, I suppose.
You know,
Jessica Alba was the kicker.
I cared about the characters, and you know, it was fine. It had some heart that Silver Surfer and the new one just don't.
So that means this has got to be, we didn't look up stats, but I'm guessing the second most profitable of the 4 total Fantastic Four movies.
5 if you count The Incredibles.
So then it would be the least. It would not. That's got to be the most profitable. I'm assuming. I forget. We did stats on the sequel, and I don't remember. I'm pretty sure it made more money overall, because it's a sequel. I mean, come on. But we all know that Fantastic Four 2015 was a tank, and the 1994 version didn't even get released, which was by far the most comic booky version of them all.
But also, like, by far the best.
Actually, it was.
You can make the argument that it is the best.
That's such a weird point that is still relevant. That is the 1994 piece of shit might be the best Fantastic Four movie project ever made. Damn. All right, so let's take a time machine. Let's talk about some characters, all right? These characters are old as dirt. They're 50, 60 years old. Like, this team was the big reason of why Marvel Comics became a superhero book industry. There's the famous story of Stan Lee saying that before he was about to quit Marvel Comics. He had had enough of it. He was 30-some years old. He didn't like how his career had turned out over there. And he's like, but I've got this one idea for a superhero team, but the publisher's not going to like it, so I'm not going to even put it up. And his wife, I believe Gail, told him, hey, if you're going to quit anyway, just publish that comic book, you know? Get it approved, sneak it by him, because if it's a bomb, who cares? You were going to quit. So he publishes it, and hot damn, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby skyrocket into this new age of creativity. This was the launching board for Daredevil, Spider-Man, most of the X-Men, just almost anything that involves Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, which was like everything at the time. So this movie is based on Fantastic Four #1, released in 1961, writing by Stan Lee, art by Jack Kirby. And it's mostly based on 3 pages in that book where it tells the origin story of how Reed Richards is kind of a dick and insists on going into space right now so the Ruskies don't have a chance to get there first.
Yo, let's add Ruskies to the list of racial slurs we're not going to use on this podcast anymore.
Okay. I think they've gotten past that one though.
Maybe.
Like how Cracker affects us. Uh,
Does it affect us?
that's what I mean.
Oh, okay. I see. I see.
Ben is Ben Grimm is worried the plane isn't shielded enough for cosmic rays. But Sue calls him a coward, and then he's like, "Damn it, I'm gonna fly that plane." So they sneak into the government base after hours. Sue tags along because of her loyalty to her husband. Wherever you go, I go, Reed. And then her kid brother Johnny Storm does the same and is like, "I go wherever you go, sis." And then they get hit by cosmic rays, yada yada yada. Fantastic Four. It's explained later that the government was going to cut funding for their big project, but it's still kind of a dumb reason to sneak your family and friends onto a military base and do an experimental space launch. Still a better reason than the justification for 2015 Fantastic Four.
Which is something they didn't even bother with, it seemed.
It's basically the same thing, so I guess it was truer to the comic book.
That's a weird way to think about it, but yeah.
I know. So let's talk about some characters that premiered in this. Starting with Willie Lumpkin, the Fantastic Four mailman. Believe it or not, he starred in his own comic strip in 1960 by Stan Lee and Dan DeCarlo. Big name in the Golden Age. He was just a young little mailman who just went across the country in this single panel strip. And then he was integrated into Marvel in Fantastic Four number 11, drawn by Jack Kirby at that point. He insisted, half-jokingly, that he should be a member of the Fantastic Four because of his power to wiggle his ears. And then, of course, Stan Lee got to play that character in the movie. Probably his most lines. No, he had more lines in Spider-Man 3.
It's always fun to see that Stan Lee cameo.
It's always fun to see a Stan Lee cameo in it, isn't it? When's it not fun to see a Stan Lee cameo? That's what I thought.
The one during Silver Surfer, because that whole movie was not fun.
All right, so let's move on to the Fantastic Four here, starting with Human Torch, the hothead of the team, lover of fast cars and easy women, because he's a teenager. He's just a high school kid who got superpowers. I mean, when I was in high school, I would love to have superpowers. I mean, I would love them now, but more when I was in high school. He was raised by his older sister, Sue, and not really his parents, because his mother died in a car accident when he was very young, and his father, Franklin, was put in jail shortly after for murdering a loan shark. So Sue pretty much raised him since the time he could walk. Human Torch, I mean, I did this whole spiel in our episode on Fantastic Four 2015 where I explained the heart and core of every character, so there might be a little bit of overlap in my explanations of just like Johnny being the kid but the one with the courage to step up. There's a couple famous moments that have happened to him recently. The big one is that he died in a famous comic book called 3, which that's an awesome name for a comic book that involves the death of one of the Fantastic Four members. And he saves the FF from a horde of insects in the negative zone. In his will, it's interesting, he requested Spider-Man replace him because they're buds, and Spider-Man totally did for a spin. Thank you for that interjection.
That was a pun. What play on words?
I didn't even try. All right, so the next character, we have The Thing. And I like The Thing's publication history here. His background is actually modeled after Jack Kirby's life experiences. Benjamin Jacob Grimm was born into a Jewish family on Yancey Street. He idolized his older brother, who died in a gang fight. Now, tell me if this sounds familiar. Jack Kirby was born on Delancey Street, had a father named Benjamin, and a brother who died when he was young, and had the name, and Jack Kirby's real name is actually Jacob when he was given to him at birth.
Is Stan Lee Jewish?
His real name is Stanley Lieber, so take a guess.
Because Jacob and Benjamin are old Hebrew names. That's yeah. That's why I ask.
Jack Kirby is Jewish. His real name was like Jack Kurbowski or something like that. It's a very Polish name, I think. So the ever-loving blue-eyed thing is a man with a heart of gold making the best out of a truly terrible situation. The same guy who won't hesitate to try and take on the Hulk spent a fortune building the Grimm Youth Center to keep kids off the streets because his brother died in a gang fight. Ben's had a tough life, but that doesn't stop him from making other people's better. I mean, also many different spins have been taken on the whole transformation into the thing. One time, an encounter with the Grey Gargoyle allowed him to transform back into Ben, or like get control of the transformation, but doing so created versions of him to appear in alternate timelines and cause all this kinds of trouble, so we stopped doing that. It turns out he's actually nearly immortal in his Rocky form because he doesn't age, and he's kind of impervious to everything. But he's also ugly, which is a shame. Moving on. We have The Invisible Woman. Biggest growth and development of almost any character in comic book history. I mean, she started out as the weak damsel in distress character with the power to only turn invisible. That was it. Her powers were strictly defensive. After an issue of the Fantastic Four where they're reading real fan mail, Stan Lee decides to give Sue the ability to use force fields in issue 22. But it wasn't until John Byrne took over for the comic book that we see Sue really come into her own as one of the most powerful characters in the Marvel Universe. And not just on like a superpower level either, which she definitely racks way up there because she can put force fields in your brain and your esophagus. Sue Storm is the ultimate mother figure. She takes care of Johnny after their parents can't because one is dead and one's in jail. She takes care of the team Fantastic Four when all really they do is bicker at each other and get into fights. She's the glue that keeps them together. And she manages to stand next to Reed when he does some truly stupid things, which I'll explain a little bit later, and raises not one, but two superpowered children, one of which becomes a reality-altering god, pretty much.
Actually. Not pretty much, actually.
Yeah. It's the fact that he's a kid and can't really comprehend his powers is the only thing that ever keeps him in check. Susan Storm should be your role model. If you have a little girl, she wants to read some comic books, anything post like Fantastic Four number 80, I think you're good to go. I don't know exactly when John Byrne takes over, but anything that didn't involve Stan Lee writing the dialogue of Sue Storm, where she was just like, I belong in the kitchen. I think that's literally a line somewhere. Or Reed says, a wife's lips aren't good for talking, but they are sure good for kissing.
That applies to Jessica Alba.
Oh,
out what I say.
Oh boy.
Okay, this from the married man.
I blacked out what I say.
Jessica Alba, I do not think gave a very good performance in Silver Surfer.
Yes.
I don't think that's a controversial opinion at all.
And she I think she tries her best, but I don't think she really knew who this character was.
Her best is not great.
Oh, I'm not a professional actress, so I can't really compare. But compared to other professional actresses, I can form a somewhat of an opinion. And yeah, it wasn't the best. So moving on to the final member of the Fantastic Four, Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards. Attending college at 14, he graduated from 5 different universities by the time he was 20. Reed can be seen as a cold and distant character due to his logical and scientific thinking. The degrees of this behavior are limited only by the writer. So while it hasn't really been determined that it's out of character for him when he totally turned off his child's brain by putting him in an induced coma. Well, granted, his child's brain was making his imagination a reality. That's still a stone cold thing to do.
I mean, sometimes it's what you got to do, you know.
He probably
Okay.
had it coming.
I suppose it's like a 5-year-old kid, and you're just like, you know what? You got to go into a coma.
Sure.
And and the dad has to be the one to do it.
Well, yeah.
And it's going so far as to an extreme too. In the Ultimate Marvel Universe, Reed is an insane megalomaniac. Like, he's tried to conquer the world several times. Although in some of the other books, he's like the most kind-hearted member of the group. It depends on who's writing the story. An example of his kind-heartedness I like to bring up is in an episode of Fantastic Four, Earth's Greatest Hero, the cartoon, it had him body swap with Doctor Doom, and the team didn't figure it out that they were in different bodies until Reed, aka Doom, canceled all of his lectures for the week. They're like, whoa, you're not yourself. You're totally not you. Because he's a firm supporter of influence of youngers to get. Oh my God, let me rephrase this. Because Reed, no matter what you say about his attitude, his genius has saved the world, universe, and even reality itself multiple times, and he's a firm supporter of influencing youngsters to get interested in science. There's nothing more important to him.
He's like Bill Nye.
Yeah. Super smart, but a little bit. I don't know if I've never interacted with Bill Nye, but is he not really a family man?
He wears a lot of bow ties. He hosted a show on PBS in the late '90s, mid to late '90s.
His ideals are the same. The struggle with Reed is determining how much of his obsession with science can he succumb to without pushing away the ones he loves and who give him strength. It's actually been confirmed that not too long ago he is indeed on the autism spectrum. So he might be one of the most famous autistic comic book characters.
Are there? I can't think of any others. So yeah.
The only. There's a few out there, I'm sure. I haven't looked into it. The final character to discuss, who premiered in this movie, Doctor Doom, premiered in Fantastic Four #5 in 1962. His origin didn't come about until 2 years later, though. So his early stories are just sort of like, he's a crazy guy, and then he becomes and develops into like the greatest villain in the Marvel Universe, debatably. He's a scientific genius, rivaled only by Reed Richards, with sorcery knowledge to supplement what he doesn't know. Doctor Doom is a perfectionist. The reason he wears his metal mask to conceal his face is because there is one scar across his cheek. That's it. And he's like, no, it's not perfect. I'm ugly. I must have this perfect, clean metal face instead. He wants the world to be like him, which, depending on the day, can be a perfect utopia, like his ideals, or ugly and twisted, like his psyche. He's not a stable person. While scientifically and magically he's only rivaled by Mr. Fantastic and Doctor Strange, his pride has no competition, and his inability to accept he may be wrong about something is the #1 downfall in almost all of his schemes. That being said, calling Doctor Doom's schemes grandiose is an understatement. He once stole the power away from all of Galactus's world ship, or he nabbed the Odin Spear, which has nearly omnipotent power. He has complete diplomatic immunity, since he is the sole ruler of Latveria and can set the laws for Latveria that are recognized by his country so that the law can't touch him in the United States. Truly one of the greatest supervillains of all time. His presence elevates any plot, because never is Doom a simple side character.
He's a cool dude.
He is Stan Lee's favorite villain. He has said that multiple times. He's the perfect. He describes him as an avatar of death, because instead of having a skeleton, he's got like this metal framey figure, and that's how he wanted him to be drawn by Kirby. But that is all I have for comic books. And you know what? That made my headache go away. So,
yay!
I'm feeling good right now. I'm feeling
Did it make my
energized.
thumb grow back?
Your thumb grow back? You lost a thumb?
Oh, that's part of it.
Oh my God!
Didn't I tell you about this last time we recorded?
No! Holy cow!
Oh yeah, I got 5 stitches right there. You can't see it because it's covered up.
No, but what'd you do?
I cut my thumb.
With what?
A knife.
Oh, you were just cooking?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was gonna be something cool, like
No, I was cubing up some beef for a kebab.
you were standing next to a train track or something, and a train came by, and a piece of shrapnel flew
Why
by.
would I? How would I cook near a train station?
I'm not talking about
It
cooking.
would have been way cooler if you did.
That should
I'd be just like the person who just like stands on a platform and makes kebabs.
that should be like the next.
Oh
big
wait,
thing
people
on
actually do
YouTube.
that, like food trucks.
Yeah.
Oh, I see a future career for me.
I'm thinking that's like the next big thing on YouTube is just like trying to cook a meal, like have a cooking show while a train is going by behind you.
Yeah, that would not be fun to watch.
I think it would.
We'll see.
All right, so let's move on to the music section. In case you had not noticed, Skylar could not be with us today.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, we're
Dial-up was acting up.
yeah, he's having some technical difficulties, and he was not in the mood to solve them. We get like that sometimes, or we
It
get tired.
happens.
Yeah, we're getting it's crunch time. It's hard to keep things consistent. Ben, you weren't with us last time for Jessica Jones.
I had too much on my plate at once, and Jessica Jones had to not be watched, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. So Skylar, he's not here today. That's unfortunate.
He's fighting with his ISP.
Yeah, this is the
Or
first time
something.
I think he's never been on a show though, which is the
Yeah.
the extra tragic part.
Yeah, rest in
So-
peace.
So Twitter Tom, and Ben, you're both gonna sort of headline this music section. Go.
Yay!
Sounds good. You want to go first, Ben, or you want me to?
Yeah. I guess the composer for Fantastic Four 2005 was John Ottman, who we've talked about on the show before, I believe, because he also the main scores that he's well known for are X-Men: Days of Future Past and Superman Returns.
But not Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer.
No.
Okay. Let's see. Let's try and remember what his scores sounded like. Or we'll just play a clip right now. We'll play the theme to this entire movie. Here is Fantastic Four theme 2005. Sorry, just letting that play a little bit longer.
Yeah.
All right, Fantastic Four theme with some horns. Did that sound to me? That sounded a lot like X-Men 3's theme.
I forget what that one sounds like.
You both need to not talk at the same time.
Shit, sorry.
Go ahead. I don't have anything to say.
I was gonna say, Hotman. A lot of his scores for me sound pretty interchangeable, especially when it comes to X-Men and that. I did fact check though; he did do Silver Surfer score as well.
Oh, well, there we go.
Oh.
Where are your stats, dummy?
And X-Men 2, apparently.
Oh, well, look at all this.
So there you go.
You know, it's it feels like one of those just straight up classic brass, kick it up.
There's some good fanfares in there.
Yeah, it's fanfare-y. Yeah, there's no real subtlety to the music, which is fine. It gets the damn job done, but it doesn't really elevate the sound at all. So let's kick it out to Skylar's other clip he had prepped for us today in a little track called Battling Doom. Cue it up, me. Do you feel that was Ottman's attempt at like an Imperial March?
It sounded like Danny Elfman to me.
It kind of sounded like Christopher Young to me. Like the
Barry Elfman as well.
the Spider-Man 3 soundtrack. You know, that choral, but like bum ba bum ba. I suppose that is very Elfman-esque though.
Yeah, like the choir is.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I associate that with Danny Elfman.
But I liked it. I won't lie. That was the thing. The thing is, it didn't feel like doom, but it certainly felt ominous. You know, you got the mood that you needed to achieve. But with Doom is such a big character is the thing. That's the problem with Fantastic Four is a lot of the big scary Marvel characters come from that comic book, and the music's got to reflect how terrifying these enemies really need to be. Because Doom is gonna, not only is he gonna subdue you, he's going to murder your loved ones without a thought because they don't matter to him, as long as they aren't in his way or whatever important to his grand ultimate goal. And then he's going to rule everything you love, because that's just his way. He's going to be the man in charge. And the scary part about him is he might be the right guy for the job.
When he's in a good mood.
When he's in a good mood. So that's going to do it for music today. Thank you, Skylar.
Yay.
For your selections.
Oh, you're welcome, Michael. No, there needs to be more Andre the Giant in there. You're welcome, Michael.
Oh. You think Skylar sounds like Andre the Giant?
No, he sounds more like Andre the Giant than my impression of him just then.
Oh, okay. Well, speaking of you, let's talk about science.
You blinded me with it.
I love that song. So let's hit the hot points right away.
Speaking of hot points.
the supercooling of hot metal, aka
Yes.
the final big plot device of how they were going to defeat Doom in the end. Superheat him with some supernova level temperatures, and then bust open a fire hydrant and spray him with all that cold water.
Okay, one. Supernova level temperatures are hotter than anything else in the universe. So you would liquefy the entire solar system if you actually had a supernova.
Well, he was like, we're reaching supernova. I don't think they ever actually
Yeah,
got there.
even so, if you're getting close to a supernova, you're already hot enough to vaporize the entire solar system.
Okay. But Sue contained it.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Thank God.
But that just means that, Doctor Doom would have been vaporized, and then, all that radiation would have to go somewhere, and it would go straight up and then interact with our atmosphere and then rain death on everybody.
Heat,
That
all
would have
that.
been a better ending than what we got.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but anyway, the point is they heat up Doctor Doom, and he's wearing like that metal suit or whatever, and then they cool him down real fast, and that is actually a real thing that you do when you're metalworking. If you're making a sword or something, is you get your metal nice and hot, and then you cool it down very quickly, and you do this to either create a certain crystal structure or to prevent a crystal structure. I think it's to prevent a crystal structure from forming. And what that does is it makes your piece of metal harder and stronger.
Isn't that called tempering steel?
It's called quenching.
Oh, never
Yeah.
mind.
Tempering, I think, is something related but different.
Okay.
So it makes your metal stronger, basically. So they shouldn't have done that because now Doctor Doom is like even more impervious to getting punched by Ben Grimm than usual.
Oh, that doesn't make it really, really cold or immobile.
No, unfortunately.
Well, wouldn't it have melted all the hinges in his suit, and then he would have
Well, yeah, I
supercooled
suppose. Yeah, it would have melt. Like if you can melt the hinges and then cool it down real fast, it'll be real solid.
Yeah, that
I
would
guess
just
that
be
actually
a
kind of
tube.
makes sense. What they should have really done is like I said earlier, just liquefied him, melted him to a puddle.
That wouldn't have been good for the kids.
No.
It, and all right, a quick side note here, because we have the classic Fantastic Four ending. All right, you approach him one by one, he's gonna smite you and swat you away. But if you all work as a team, you're going to stop him. And at least at this point, they were like, there's a scientific way to stop him. And that's what Reed Richards does. That's how he solves issues, is he goes, there's something I know in science that will prevent this problem. Here's how we're going to do it. They stuck really, really close to the book here, like I said, 5 out of 10. And that was the big issue I had with, well, one of the big issues of many, of the 2015 Fantastic Four movie, where the same freaking thing happens. They just keep throwing themselves at him one by one, and he swats them away, and they go, what if we work as a team? But there's no scientific element to it. They just overwhelm him with their powers. And you're like, that was so lame! Whatever. I'm done. I'm sorry.
Anyway.
I should not tangent. We need to take like a quick boycott of that movie.
I agree.
So let's move on to the next topic,
Yep.
because we've already talked about pyrokinesis in a previous episode.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember which one, please tell me. Probably an X-Men. Oh, X-Men 3.
Oh, yeah.
With pyro. We've talked about rubber stretching this in a episode that shall not be named. And there's nothing really to talk about with the Thing. He's got Rock's body. I suppose we could talk about that a little bit, but let's go to the...
There's the rockfish,
Oh, yeah.
which is a fish that looks like a rock, and it's very venomous. You step on it, you die.
Is it hard like a rock?
No, it's kind of fleshy. It just looks like one.
So let's move on to the one topic. I'm surprised we have not hit on this. Are you sure we haven't talked about this?
Pretty sure.
Invisibility.
Invisibility.
Take it away.
It's been a dream that we're gonna have, invisibility cloaks, and we can just throw on a suit and be invisible. Unfortunately, it's very difficult to do that. But material scientists are working all the time on building these things, and very recently, hold on, let me look up the article I found and give you a date on that.
Take your time.
Doop. Boop-a-doo-doo-doo, boop, boom. Ba-ba-da-da. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. September 18th, 2015, a group of material scientists developed an ultra-thin invisibility skin cloak for visible light. So basically what it does is a material that it's called a metamaterial, which means it reflects light differently depending on the angle the light enters it. And basically they invented a material that they made into like a thin sheet that they wrap around an object, and then you can see through it. And it's the first design for something that could be scaled up to hide large objects.
Yeah, but is it invisibility in the way that we see it sort of cheesily done in the movie, where the light sort of bends around it like a big mirror?
Yeah, actually, it actually bends the light around this object.
Okay, but is it okay? Let's see here. If I were standing in front of a fire hydrant or something, and I put on this cloak, would you see the fire hydrant behind me?
Ooh.
Yes.
That's a good question.
So that's the ultimate level of invisibility. How much light is it bending?
I'm reading the abstract, and it seems to be that that's how it would actually work.
Wow.
Yeah.
Invisibility is a real thing, gang. Give it another 15 years.
Well, it only works at one wavelength, at 730 nanometers, so it renders invisible one wavelength of light.
What does that mean?
One color.
Oh, wait, we're just green. That's
just
it.
Just like one particular shade of green.
So if you stand in that particular shade of green, you are invisible.
Yes, but the idea is that you can adapt this material to cover more of the visible spectrum and make things actually invisible instead of just that one wavelength.
Okay, I dig it.
Yeah. So the point of this paper that they wrote is that they have a material that blocks one wavelength, and it's very it's extremely thin, and so potentially they could scale it up to hide large objects like a coffee cup or a person.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now,
and it's the first time that there's been able to seriously consider scaling it up.
Okay. We're not going to talk about force fields today.
Yeah, that's fine.
Mostly because I don't think you're prepped, and there's going to be more opportunities.
Definitely not prepped for force fields.
Okay, and I feel as if that's an interesting topic on its own. But let's move on to Doom's powers in the movie, because in the comic book, Doom does not have superpowers. That is, there's nothing. It's weird. It's what do you consider a superpower? Because he's an ultimate genius, but he earned that.
Yeah.
And also he has a mild mastery of sorcery. So he can use magic, but it's not technically a superpower. He studied it, learned it, because magic is very real in the Marvel Universe. But in the movie, they're just he
can shoot lightning.
He can shoot lightning, and he's got metal skin underneath.
Yeah.
So let's talk about human conduction then.
Yep.
And a human's ability to actually shoot lightning.
Yeah, okay, so you need to shoot lightning, you need to create a electrostatic potential difference between you and whatever you're shooting lightning at, And the question is, if lightning is going from you to that thing, how are you changing the number and distribution of electrons in that thing so that you actually shoot lightning at it? The answer is magic.
It's always magic.
Yeah, I don't have too much to say on this one. Humans
But
can't shoot lightning, otherwise we would do it all the time.
but
When
we
I
can.
scuff my feet on the carpet and I shoot lightning out, that's magic.
Yeah,
Static.
Yeah,
Okay.
we
Good.
can conduct static electricity.
My
right.
wife, I'm a sorcerer now.
Yeah, you can. You absolutely can.
So wait, we don't know how static electricity works?
Oh, I guess I was misunderstanding the question.
Because basically, can you upscale static electricity similar as Tom was describing, rubbing your feet on the carpet, so that you can actually like shock something to a deadly amount?
Yes, but it would be deadly to you as well.
I suppose we don't have any resistance. You always feel a shock.
Right, to be able to shoot lightning at something, then there's going to have to be electrostatic forces in you that are just going to, break down internally.
Worth it. Definitely worth it.
Like you can only charge up an object, like static electricity charge up an object so much before it can't hold anymore.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, hold on. I should have told you about this earlier, but there was like an episode of Stan Lee's Superhumans, one of the first episodes, where they had a guy who was like holding a freaking battery at the open end, so all the power was going into his body, and he was holding a light bulb in his other hand, and it was just, he was just charging the light bulb, and he wasn't getting hurt at all.
Yeah, there's ways to do that because the human body it is a conductor. We talked about that on Iron Man 3. No, the very first episode I was on, we talked about that.
Oh yeah, that is Iron Man 3.
Yeah, where I was like, humans conduct electricity, so you got all these volts going through you.
Okay.
There you go. You're gonna die.
But
before you hit the ground.
he was on the show because he could do it to like a superhuman amount. Like he was charging up like a griddle that they were frying pancakes on, and it's like that's a lot of electricity going into your body.
Yeah, you just gotta keep it away from vital organs.
Huh. Wow. I suppose you can totally just channel electricity.
And there's also
don't
a
know
difference. There's also a difference between a high voltage current and a high amperage current. Amperage is what kills you. That's the actual amount of current flowing through you. Mm-hmm. High voltage is the amount of it's more subtle than this, but you can have a high amp current and that will kill you. You can have a high voltage current that won't.
Look it up, kids.
And yeah, and there's some equations I can't quite remember because it's been like 5 years since I took electromagnetism, but basically you can get enough power to power like a griddle from either of those if your voltage is high enough.
All right, then. Let's move on to your final topic.
Yeah, if you have a high voltage, you can keep the current low, and then there you go. Final topic. This was something that they mentioned in like the first scene of the movie, where they're like, an electromagnetic radiation storm is coming for Earth, and it was the same kind of thing that created life. So this is a great opportunity for science.
Yep, that one throwaway line.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about that. The origin of life on Earth is usually called abiogenesis, or abiogenesis, bio, life, genesis, beginning. There you go. And
not?
Yeah, I don't think it's, I don't know.
I know my Greek roots.
Yeah, you do. But basically, the idea that life could have been propagated by, radiation coming in from the outside the Earth's atmosphere and striking a bunch of molecules and catalyzing these biochemical reactions that led to life is something that is generally accepted as true. I forget when, but there was a series of experiments called the Miller-Urey experiments, where they took a cloud of gas that was, similar to how Earth's atmosphere was, 3 billion years ago or whenever life began on Earth, and they just had a beaker full of this gas, and they zapped it with lightning, and just let it sit. And after a little bit of time, they discovered amino acids, which are a type of protein. They're the building blocks of RNA, which gives us DNA and life as we know it. So, there you go.
Holy cow.
So,
Is
yeah.
that what biospheres are?
Is what?
No, I'm joking.
Oh.
It was a bad joke.
So the idea of some kind of radiation striking a group of organic molecules in just the right way to kickstart the chemical reactions that we now call life. Yes, they got that right.
Oh, good. And
Yeah.
they got cosmic rays a little weird, but
Well, I mean,
overall-ish close.
you can't win them all.
It was. What did we know about cosmic rays in the '60s? Enough.
Nah,
Stanley
enough,
should have
yeah.
knew enough. He just likes to make shit up. All right, Tom.
All right.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. How have you guys been?
You look like you're dozing, man.
Nope. I'm just super stoned. No, I'm kidding.
I'm pretty tired. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, we're all tired, but we do this for the fans.
It's 11 o'clock here. So, okay, well, Chris Evans, we all know who's Captain America now. He improvised most of his dialogue as Johnny Storm.
Oh, yeah. By the way, we're in Fun Facts now, in case you guys couldn't pick it up.
Oh, yeah.
Fun fact.
Fun facts. Hugh Jackman was offered the role of Reed Richards, and that shows you how dumb Fox is, because they were going to have Wolverine as Wolverine and the same guy be Reed Richards. So I'm glad that fell through.
That would have been really silly.
Yeah. Paul Walker was going to be, or he was considered for the part of Johnny Storm, which is good because we don't need Johnny Storm just blank staring and smiling.
I thought you were going to take that a whole different direction. I'm glad you didn't.
Too soon. Michael Chiklis wore 60 pounds of latex for his Thing outfit, and it took him 3 hours to get into.
3 hours seems like a speedy time for the amount of crap that he was put on him.
Right, and I can't remember the movie. Is it just the top half that they show? Like, does he wear pants and like jeans, or?
He wears Fantastic Four underoos, pants, But like, you're right. It's a lot of mid-level shots.
Right, and he wore prosthetic teeth for it too. And to get prepared for using those big ass teeth in his mouth, he would read children's stories in between his scenes. So,
just to loosen up his mouth?
Well, just to get used to talking with those prosthetics and so you can understand them.
Okay.
Oh, he read them out loud.
Yeah, I thought he was reading them outside of the suit. We both read into that wrong.
He put the prosthetics in and then silently read to himself to get ready to speak out loud. I don't know how to pronounce the guy who played Reed Richards.
Iowan?
I don't know if Iowan or Johan.
No, it's Iowan Grufford.
Oh, Iowan Grufford. I guess he was so pumped to show his mom and dad that he was working on this major Hollywood blockbuster. So he flew him in from I think it was Wales, and the day they went to visit him on set, the whole day he was filming an elevator scene. So that was I assume he was hoping they were just going to see this big action piece, and it's just him in an elevator.
Gotta plan that stuff out, Iowan.
Yeah, Iowan. I mean, his parents named him Iowan, so.
You know what? That's their fault at that point.
Yeah. Stan Lee said Michael Chiklis' portrayal of the Thing is his favorite performance in any Marvel film ever.
I believe that. Michael Chiklis put so much heart into that performance.
Yeah,
Um,
he was good.
when I rewatched the movie today with director commentary, or not director commentary, actor commentary, it was Chiklis, Grufford, and Alba, and like Grufford and Alba never read a comic book, which is fine. You don't need to read a comic book to act. Uh, but Chiklis is like a diehard comic books fan. Like he loves this stuff, and he sounded like a proud parent throughout most of the film. When he was just talking about it, like, I did this a lot for the kids, and this is what my kids wanted to see. It was just some of these great action moments and just some good family fun lessons, and the way he describes a lot of his scenes is actually really heartwarming.
Yeah, and he was a big fan of the Thing in the comic books too. So I mean, so yeah, good for him that he got it and he actually, put his heart and soul into it. Um, what else I got is it was the script was developed over 10 years. So apparently it had trouble since the beginning. But this one, I mean, it's not really a fun fact, but it just cracks me up, is that they hired Tim Story after they saw his work on Barbershop and Barbershop 2 back in business. So the Fox execs are like, man, that guy who did Barbershop, he would be great for a Fantastic Four. That would just be great. Let's get him on there.
It's an all-time classic.
Those were great films. Let's not deny them that. Ice Cube was a treasure.
Yeah.
I mean, Citizen Kane, move over. We got Barbershop.
And
Grandma's Boy, move over.
And then it spun off Queen Latifah's Beauty Shop.
I mean, just great cinema there. And it really shows in Fantastic Four. And did he do the sequel too? Silver
He
Surfer?
did indeed.
Yeah, see, that guy's just shit. So.
Oh, we've chalked it up, Tom. It's average.
Well, Silver Surfer was shit.
No. It was bad.
Well, okay.
You're allowed to have your opinion, but we're going to
Taste
influence
is
you
subjective,
to
and that's a good
admire
thing.
ours.
You're allowed to have your opinion, Tom, but you're wrong, and I hate you.
Look, you're the new Skylar.
Hey!
Holy shit. Feels if that always happens when we have 3 people on the show.
Yeah, two end up ganging up on the third. It's like a sociological law.
It's
really
cool. It's
is.
just my feelings. They'll heal. They'll heal. Yeah, that's all I got for fun facts. Not much on it, but yeah.
Ben, what was your fun fact?
Oh, fun fact, that the snowboarding scene really reminded me in a really big way of 1080 Avalanche, the Nintendo GameCube. Just because of like the music that's playing and the fact that they're snowboarding.
And the fact that it kind of looks like he was chasing down an avalanche.
Yeah, I honestly could not tell the difference between watching a replay from 1080 Avalanche and that actual scene.
Yeah, because GameCube graphics were pristine.
And the special effects in this game were not.
They
were okay. They were okay. But I was like, I suddenly got very nostalgic for the early to mid 2000s, I guess.
Okay, so let's move on to our final section of the night. Drinking game rules.
Yay!
I'll be honest, I didn't prep any, so...
Well, I got a few. You can steal them if you want.
I'll steal a couple, maybe.
All right.
But you do a couple that you want first.
All right. Whenever a song about fire or that mentions fire plays while Johnny Blaze does something.
I love how you always call him Johnny Blaze.
Is his name not Johnny Blaze?
Johnny Blaze is Ghost Rider.
Oh.
Johnny Storm is the Human Torch.
Oh, and then Sue Storm is...
his sister.
Who's not Storm from the X-Men. See, it's all so confusing in my head. I obviously thought his name was Johnny Blaze. What's his real name?
Johnny Storm.
Okay, well, whenever a song about fire plays when the Human Torch does something, take a little sip of Fireball.
Ooh, you're gonna have plenty of Fireball. Whenever you see a general whorish product placement, Samsung during the dirt bike team, for
Every
example.
every single shot in the dirt bike scene has some kind of brand in it.
Well, there was even when Johnny just shows up. No, wait, that's in the second movie. He shows up decked out in ad gear. Uh, I'm thinking they got worse in the second one with their product placement. In the what was the car company for this one? Did anybody pay attention?
Oh, I don't remember.
There was all those cars on the bridge.
Yeah, I don't know. I just remember like during the dirt bike scene, I was like, oh my God. There's Mountain Dew, there's Burger King, there's Doritos, there's ESPN.
They
You
just
know,
they just threw them all under
there's
right away.
Adidas. That was like, okay. It was like they were like, okay, we got all these contracts with different people that we have to like put their logo in the movie somewhere. Here, put them all on that wall.
That one scene, that'll do it. That's actually really smart, to be honest.
Yeah.
Tom, do you got any rules?
We every time that you're supposed to laugh and you groan instead, take a sip of your beer.
Okay.
Basically all the Fantastic Four domestic montages. It's like they're living, and Reed opens the door and sees Sue naked, and she turns invisible. Oh no! And
Next week on Friends.
the only actual funny moment when Johnny manages to get the thing to slap himself with whipped cream, shaving cream. That was a good one.
That was good.
Because it's like, is he even
good.
ticklish?
That was pretty good.
I say anytime you hear a catchphrase, got to take that shot.
Catchphrases include "It's clever in time," "Flame on."
Go,
There's a couple
invisible,
others.
go.
Yeah.
Or no, whenever Doctor Doom says the word Doom,
Yeah.
like, not as like saying I'm Victor Von Doom, but like actually uses the word.
The word, not
Doom.
as a proper noun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure he's using it as a proper noun, but he's being
Probably.
a dick about it.
Probably.
What's that? Oh, you forgot the fun fact, Tom, that both Michael Chiklis and Julian McMahon were FX TV stars. Michael Chiklis being on The Shield and Julian McMahon being on Nip Tuck. And that's kind of what landed them the big gigs.
Oh, I'm fired.
That is a fun fact.
Take a drink.
Take a drink every time there's a really obvious lip sync error.
Well, I wasn't watching it really. I was listening to it.
There's a couple really bad ones. Where someone will be like, no, Johnny, don't, and then her mouth just won't move.
Well, that whole scene where Reed and Sue are talking to each other on the pier, not on the boat where he proposes, but on the pier. They're actually not even in the same location. Iowan recorded that in Canada, and Jessica, Miss Alba, recorded that in the studio in Hollywood. So what they did is they had the backs of their heads stand-ins. So there's never a shot of them facing each other, like both of their faces. You only ever see the back of their head.
Huh.
So you drink for that whole scene because you're talking and someone's listening to a stupid factoid about it. So everybody else has to drink while you explain that. Is the rule.
I'll also add there's at least 2 Wilhelm screams.
Oh yeah, there definitely is.
There's at least 2, so drink for those.
It's the cheesiest scream. Why do people keep using it?
Because it's funny.
It's everybody recognizes that stock sound scream. Okay. All right. Finish the bottle. When you realize that Sue Storm turning invisible had no purpose throughout the entire film, and was only there to make sure
No,
that
she
Jessica
needed-
Alba got naked.
She had to sneak past Doom that one time
Oh, that
when
one?
he was doing something else in a different room, not focused on her at all.
Well, the one scene, the completely, okay, fine, just the one time, the completely worthless time where they're on the bridge and, they're all crowded by people and they're like, what's going on? Sue, you can get past him. And then she starts stripping down and turns invisible, and then her powers don't work and she's naked. And then she turns invisible again, and it doesn't matter because the crowd opens up anyway.
Yeah.
In commentary, Jessica Alba was like, I was so pissed that day because those pages were written in before I signed my the day of filming. They were written in the day of filming, so I didn't even get to see them before I signed my contract. So, because when anything that involves an actor stripping down should be discussed with an agent, because I feel like there's certain parameters
Right.
of like how much body can you reveal, and like that's your pride and dignity. And they're like, Jessica, we've got some new pages we need you to look at, and we're filming these today. And it's sleazy, sleazy facts. So I liked that. It's a solid commentary, by the way, guys. To listen to. You learn a good amount. Also, how hard Iowan tried to have an American accent, and how difficult that was for him, is very apparent. But any more big drinking game rules, guys?
Finish the bottle during that scene. Drink to forget.
That you now know a little bit extra fact about corporate sleaziness.
Yay.
To get some Jessica Alba cleavage in there when she technically didn't allow it in the proper channels. Okay, so that's going to do it today. Looks like it's going to wrap it up for today, super fans. Super Movie Studies is recorded and produced by Tri-Op Cop Productions, a name that will soon have a face. How many fucking episodes have we recorded that I've just said that because, and now, soon, the website's up. There's nothing there, but it's up.
Yo, you're cramping on my section of the outline. Step off.
I'm stepping off. So if you like what you hear, show us your support by rating us on iTunes, because no matter what, you will be able to find us easily on iTunes. Super Movie Studies. It's there. It will never leave you. It'll be there forever until iTunes decides to take us down for some dumb reason, which they are totally within their rights to do. And you know what? To prevent them from doing that, ever, give us more ratings. Some solid ratings. 5 stars. Tom here is the first man to have ever rated us on iTunes.
Oh yeah.
And look what that's done for him.
And now he's guesting.
He's guesting, runs the Twitter. He has conversations. Tom, I bet you have more conversations with Mustache PI on Twitter than Ben has with that guy in real life.
That's 100% true.
Because you actually
is a hoot.
He's the world's greatest.
We need to get him on the show. Send him a line.
We really should. We should have a Tom Spectacular.
Oh, man. Double the Tom, double the fun. Ben, pick us up.
Yeah, as Michael alluded to earlier, Trap.com. It's alive. It lives. There's nothing there, but it's there. We'll be adding more content as we move forward. Expect that to be a hub of super movie studies.
Yeah, as well as extra stuff, because we didn't really want to call it super movie studies. I forget the email I promised last week.
We can fix it in post.
Yeah, well, what is the frickin' email? I think it's smsp@triopcomp.com. It's going to be something at tryup.com. It's going to be something super movie studies at tryupcop.com. Might be the full phrase. All right. It's either MSSP. Damn it. All right, here. Let's make the decision now. All right, guys. Is it going to be abbreviated? Yes. Short. Or is it going to be the whole phrase?
The whole thing.
The whole thing. You
The
think
whole thing.
people should type all that shit out when they want to send us an email?
Yo, do you know what my email address is?
That's true. It is quite long. And
Real long.
Google shortens it for you.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, if you have a Google account, it just does your name instead.
Oh, well, okay.
That's what I mean. Okay. The email. For any sort of professional inquiries, nothing that you feel you want to do on Twitter, because go to Twitter, man. That's where you're going to get the quickest response. But if you want to send us an email, like with like attachments and stuff, supermoviestudies at tryopcop.com. It's real. You know why? Because I can make it right after I say it. I have that power now. Baba
That's
Booey.
power you can't buy.
That's power you have to buy. All right. Send us away, Tom.
SMSP also keeps up an active Twitter feed where yours truly will retweet you and like what you post. We like to hear all your guys' comments and feedback. We're at Super M Studies, so follow us and send us your questions, comments, and suggestions, and we'll use them on the air.
You should have
Beautiful.
prepped some tweets to read to us, Tom. To make sure.
Oh, I mean, I can read you any tweet you want, Mike. For example, the last tweet was for our Star Wars episode, and it said, "Do you need to be awakened? How about Force Awakened? Check out our latest podcast, Superfans."
Well, that's our tweet, Tom. I mean fans that have tweeted to us.
Oh, okay. Well, how about this, Mike? Mustache PI said, "Don't forget that it's chock full of Y-wing stimulators too."
Yes.
If you listen to our podcast episode, you'll know what he means.
Y-wing stimulators.
You know what? Freudian slip. That'll do it today. I'm your host, Michael Maurer.
Ben Anderson.
And Twitter Tom.
And I hope you all have a super week.
Bye.